Guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to a new video. Today I am not going to show you anything. I just want you to listen to my voice, to listen to what I have to tell you. It's already for a while that I wanted to record this video because I think it could help people think on the macro. It could clear up your mind a little bit, to step back and to see how the hell did we get here. And what can we do and what can we expect actually for the next couple of years? I think I would say that when it comes down to trading and economics, that maybe my macroeconomic side is probably the strongest, because that is kind of how I started off. I've always been interested in the markets. I've always been looking for connections between the markets, effects. If you turn on a button on the left, what happens on the right? And that I think I could say that now, years and years later, I pretty have a clear idea sometimes of where we're going on a very broader perspective. So right now it's mid-October 2022. We're in high inflation, and it all looks pretty ugly. And every day you think like it cannot get any worse, and then yes, it gets worse again. And we have high gas prices in Europe, and we have a war in Ukraine, we have high inflation. The housing market is starting to show signs of weakness. People still have a job, but everything gets super expensive, and it's just a matter of time before something quote unquote cracks in the system, and that's what a lot of people are looking out for. Usually when there is maximum fear, that could be a bottom. Right now I do not think we are in a bottom, but this video is meant to help you, for you just as a single person with just a single job, or as a trader, as what can I do as an individual, how do I need to look at this very big world play that is now unfolding. First I want to tell you, like, how did we get here in this situation? And therefore we actually need to go back to 2008. We are still in the same crisis as 2008. The only problem is this one is much bigger. Why? Well, quick recap. In 2008 we had a credit crisis, meaning everything was on credit, and that was not a problem because tomorrow you will make more money than you do today, so you can pay off your debt. Until the day comes that you are not making more money. Until the day comes that you cannot pay off your debt anymore. And you need to start raising your fingers at person A. I'm very sorry. The $1,000 that I told you I owe you, I cannot pay it anymore. Person A says, oh well, wait a minute, then we have a problem, because I also lend $1,000 from person B. So person B, I'm very sorry, I also can't pay you anymore because the other person is not paying me, so I cannot pay you back the $1,000. Then person B said to C, oh well, then I can also not pay you anymore, and you get this domino effect. That's exactly what happened with the credit crisis on the housing market, and therefore it started off in the housing market where people lost their job and couldn't pay anymore, and then the bank says, well, if one person doesn't pay the mortgage, it's not a problem, but if hundreds of thousands of people do the same at the exact same time, then we have a huge gap on the balance sheet, a lot of debt that's not being paid off. So we will go bankrupt, and then the banks went to the government, and the government need to bail them out. So actually the problem is just constantly being pushed further, and now you have governments with tremendous amount of debt. So what did we do? We had a tremendous credit crisis, and then the governments went to the central bankers, and the central bankers said, well, if we don't do anything, then everything will be lost, and there will be riots, and governments will be thrown over, and we can see horrible stuff in society. But if we start printing money and we give it to those people who need to pay off their debt, then suddenly we have air again. So money is oxygen, money is air in the financial system. And when that happened, you give your money to person A, to person B, and you say, here's the $1,000 you pay. Oh, great. Okay, then I'm not going bankrupt. Okay. And so therefore the banks are getting money. Interest rates are being lowered, so it's cheaper to get that money, because interest rate is the cost of money. And what you get is an economic explosion. There's only one downside to that, or actually two downsides. And that is that you're creating more debt because you're printing money. And they knew exactly from that moment on, if we are going to do this, and I'm talking about the central bankers said, if we are going to do this, if we are going to start printing money, it is imminent that we are getting inflation sooner or later. History has shown over and over and over again, no matter which example you take, for example, Hitler in the Second World War, where you couldn't finance it anymore, stuff like in Zimbabwe or whatever. Once you start printing money, sooner or later you will get inflation, 100%. How much and when, that is a different story, but you will get inflation. And so what did they do with this? They bought themselves time, because the crisis hit in 2008 and then everything started getting better in 2009 and 10. The housing market picked up a little bit later. I mean, these are all these kind of cogwheels that are turning inside the economy, and some have a little bit of a lagging effect, but eventually everything started turning again until, of course, D-Day came and then inflation spiked. And central bankers knew this already from the very, very first moment, because a lot of people say, yeah, the central bank has no idea what they're doing. Well, I beg to differ, and that is that central bankers know exactly what they're doing. These people are much smarter than you think, because if a simple guy like me knows that if you start printing money you'll get inflation, and with me thousands of other people around the world, they know that too. But they said, we have such a major problem, we have so much debt on the balance sheet that we can never pay it off anymore. If we just have a little bit more time, we can try to look for a solution. And that solution, of course, never really came. Well, there are now a few solutions, and I will talk about it in a minute, but it is still, of course, a major problem. So now we are here. A lot of people said, yeah, the central bankers are a joke. They're a bunch of clowns saying there will be no inflation. Inflation is transitory. Oh, there is high inflation, yada, yada, yada. We all know the memes and the stories. Central bankers knew exactly what was going to happen. Why would they not be honest? Imagine central bankers being honest. You think politicians are liars? Try to hang out with central bankers for a while. It's a lot of fun. Trust me. These people are just changing the narrative. Because if you come up to the mic and saying, hey, listen, I'm going to be completely honest with you. We completely fucked up. We have printed billions of dollars. It's going to get high inflation. You will probably lose your job. Prices will go up. Mortgages will drop. Housing market will crash. It's going to be very, very painful. And it's all our fault because we didn't have enough time to solve the problems. What do you think will happen? Absolute chaos. People will get their money as soon as possible off the bank. You're getting a bank run. People stop spending money. Our Western capitalism is built on trust. You need to trust each other. Trust that if I pay you X amount of money, I'm getting your products or services. But if we do not trust each other anymore, if we do not trust the banks and the central bankers and the Western capitalism system that we have, everything will crumble. So everything is in essence built on that trust. Very simple. If you want to get a mortgage for your house and you're saying this is how much money I'm making, the bank trusts you that you will keep making that money and probably going to make more money in the future. Therefore, you're getting a loan. So it's based a little bit on numbers, but also on trust. But if they will be completely honest with you and say from the beginning, in 2008, 2009, 2010, we do not have the answer. We do not want people to start rioting and a complete economic collapse, maybe even a change in power all over the world that would, let's say, move from the West to China, for example. Then we need to think of a trick, and that is, in this case, was printing the money. But no one wants to pull the trigger until it is too late. And we are now at that point where it's almost too late, meaning that there is so much debt on the balance sheet. What needs to be done? It is the obvious. Rise the interest rates as soon as possible, as fast as possible. Not 0.75%, 0.5%, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. Right away, boom. What will happen? Markets will crash, real estate will crash, people will lose their job, yada, yada, yada. It will be extremely painful, but you have a chance to restructure the debt and to then build a financial fundament where you can build on for decades to come. But no one wants to do that, because who wants to pull the trigger? Who wants to be the guy who said, I killed the economy, but I did what was necessary? So we're trying slowly to get through by, we're looking at unemployment and we're looking at how many jobs are created in the real estate market, but we also kind of a little bit need to start rising the interest rates. And they're very, very careful with everything, because I have no idea what the outcome will be, because our financial system is so complicated and so big. So it's going to be a very, very interesting time. So what is the solution other than I just said? Well, CBDCs could be very much a solution. Now, I'm not in that camp of thinking, oh, the government's going to take over and we're all going to be robots and they want to check everything, yada yada yada, just like a lot of people say with COVID. Complete bullshit. But there will be, CBDCs I think will be the future, and they will be implemented in our lives. It might take years, but they will come, slowly but surely. Another solution could be a quote-unquote new Bretton Woods moment, meaning that a few decades ago there was a location, Bretton Woods, and there was a agreement signed, and it was kind of the new baseline for the monetary system. We could imagine maybe a certain moment like that where currencies completely go down the drain, and at some point the governments around the world will say, you know what, $1 is €1, is £1, for example, and that is the baseline. And from there on we can fluctuate up and down. That will be then a reset of kind of the system. Another solution could be that we're saying, you know what, we're going back to the gold standard and money is backed by gold. That could be a solution. So the current way that we're walking, the current path that we're walking, will definitely not be the answer, and I think there will be a shift in the next couple of years. There will be something that will change for all of us, and there will be a financial milestone, and from there on we go further into a new couple of decades of economic expansion, and then eventually we get out of the shit and we go further. I wrote it wrong, but I said true in the middle, but it should be the truth is somewhere in the middle. So sorry for my spelling mistake. The truth is somewhere in the middle. And what I mean with that is sometimes I follow the crazy people on social media or on the news or whatever. I'm just doing that because these people, for me, are part of my spectrum. You have completely people on the left, stuff completely on the left that will never happen. On the right, that will never happen, but I'm trying to listen as much as possible to, let's say, 50 to 100 opinions. I have my left side, my right side. I know those are the axes that will never happen. The truth is always somewhere in the middle. So something that you might not really think about. Yes, there will be some surprises, but people also said the governments will take over Corona, will never be the same again. You get chips in your arms, never get off the mask in a 1.5 meter, yada yada yada. And look at us now. That's kind of it, is most of it is gone. So all of these people who were so extreme were completely wrong. But also the people who were very extreme said, oh, we'll be fine, just don't do anything, were also wrong. So the truth was somewhere in the middle. And you see that with a lot of events, major events in the world. It's not completely to the left, it's not completely to the right. Just gather a lot of ideas and opinions, and the truth will be somewhere in the middle. I want to now end with the most important stuff is, you might be hearing this and thinking, okay, kind of makes sense, big timeline, there will be a change, we're still in the problems of 2008, but what can I do? What can I do today for the next couple of weeks and months? Inflation is here, 100%. It will take months, maybe even more than a year before we get out. A few very important things. A, keep your job. Make sure that money comes in and that you can kind of pay the bills, although it might be very, very hard, for example in Europe with the gas prices and everything. But try to keep your job. Make sure that you have money. Other than that, hold assets that the government cannot print. Real estate, gold, Bitcoin. Everything that you cannot print or multiply, hold it. That is inflation proof. Also, cash. Hold cash. If you want to take advantage of this, you want to hold cash. I am right now DCAing into the markets on ETFs and other products because with every crash in the last 100, 150 years, eventually you will come out and eventually you will go higher. And they said, oh, you were so lucky that you bought it then and then. No, it's not lucky. You're just prepared. You know that although it's painful, whatever happens, eventually markets will go up again and stuff will be better, although it might be a severe reset. That's why I find it absolutely ridiculous and stupid that some people have all their money in one asset, crypto, real estate, everything in cash. No, divide it, split it. Make sure that you diversify. And eventually, on the long term, you will be the one who is the winner. And some assets will go up and some assets will go down. That's always the case. I mean, the biggest investment mistake I made is that I never bought a house for myself a couple of years ago because I thought we were already topping out. And when COVID hit, I thought that is it. This is the big crash, and we went up again. So that for me was the biggest financial mistake. But although that, I'm just trying to diversify. And other than that is the most important one that you can do right now, and that is quote unquote get as naked as possible. It sounds a bit weird, but what I mean is dump all liabilities, everything that comes back every month that is a liability, dump it, sell it, get rid of it. A second car, everything goes up, the insurance goes up, the taxes goes up, fuel goes through the roof. That is a knife that cuts on a lot of sides. Dump the second car. Dump your OnlyFans account. Dump every subscription that costs money that doesn't get you anywhere. Maybe only hold one or two like a Netflix, that's not that expensive. But other than that, if it doesn't produce you anything, if it doesn't give you any extra income, dump it. Be cheap. If you do so, then you are very, very flexible. And then you can always maneuver. If you have a high income, but you also have high liabilities next to the income, taxes, and like I said, the car, the house and everything, there is no leftover at the end of the month. It doesn't make you flexible. In times of crisis, and when markets go down, you want to be able to be flexible and also to able to be capitalized on what is going on in the markets. And to do so, you need cash, you need flexibility. So if there is, let's say, a tremendous opportunity, whatever the business or the company is or the stock, whatever, but you have everything tied up to real estate, and you made so much money on real estate the last couple of years, you cannot liquidate real estate by tomorrow. Matter of fact, if that investment opportunity comes around and suddenly if real estate is crashing, you will be saying, why me? So unfair. No, you were just not prepared. You were tied up in liabilities. Man, those liabilities were great, right? The last couple of years, real estate went through the roof. Bang! Cash, baby. Money. And the next couple of years, it goes down the drain. You think, why me? Why me? It was so stupid. If only I would knew. No, just relax, diversify, get naked, get rid of everything that you don't need. Be as naked as possible with your liabilities. And eventually, it will go over, whatever the reset is, whatever we are going through. And from there on, you're going to build on further. I hope that this was useful for you and that you can use this kind of information. If you think I'm completely wrong and I have a wrong perspective, just let me know in the comments. I'm really, really curious what you think. Other than that, thank you so much for listening to me. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this kind of videos. We usually do more about trading, but I just want to send out this message. I hope it inspires you, it helps you, and it will you will get out of that fear zone and look at this period of time more as an opportunities, although the news is very, very negative. But look at the opportunities and look at the time that is ahead of you and how can you capitalize on it. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.